Hey, my people, I hope you're doing well and staying safe. Today, we're diving into a story that has shaken not just Michigan, but really the entire country. It's the tragic shooting and fire that happened at a church in Grand Blanc Township this past Sunday. Now, I know stories like this are heavy, but it's important to talk about them, to try and understand what happened, and to ask ourselves some deeper questions about safety, community, and healing. So here's what went down. On Sunday morning, just as worshipers were gathering inside a Latter-day Saints church, the unimaginable happened. A man drove a pickup truck straight into the building, crashed through the entrance, and immediately opened fire on people inside. He didn't stop there. He also set parts of the church on fire. Can you imagine the chaos in those moments? People who came to worship, pray, and connect with friends and family suddenly found themselves in the middle of a nightmare. Police say they responded almost instantly, about 30 seconds after the first 911 call. That kind of response time is almost unheard of. Within 8 minutes of the attack starting, officers confronted the gunman outside in the parking lot and shot him. He died at the scene. But by then, the damage had already been done. At least 4 people were killed, 8 more were hurt, and later, 2 additional bodies were discovered in the charred remains of the church. And sadly, there are still people unaccounted for. The man behind this attack has been identified as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford from Burton, Michigan. He was a former Marine who served in Iraq from 2004 to 2008, reaching the rank of sergeant. Investigators say he had explosives with him, though it's not clear if they were actually used. As of now, there's no confirmed connection between him and the church. Authorities are still digging into his past, searching through his home, his digital records, and his belongings, trying to figure out why he did this. And that's one of the hardest parts to wrap your head around. What would drive someone to target a place of worship like this? Was it ideology, a personal grievance, or something else entirely? And here's something I'd love to hear your thoughts on. How do communities balance the openness and welcoming spirit of churches, mosques, and synagogues with the reality that these places are increasingly becoming targets? Is more security the answer, or does that change the very nature of what these places are meant to be? What's even more heartbreaking are the stories of the victims and survivors. Witnesses described seeing friends gunned down, children injured, and families torn apart. One Sunday school teacher said she lost friends in the attack. Think about that. People you sit beside every week, people you share your faith and your life with suddenly gone. The ripple effects of this kind of violence go far beyond the physical injuries. It's emotional, it's psychological, and it will stay with this community for years. In the hours after the attack, nearby churches held prayer services, and people came together in grief and solidarity. That's something powerful to remember. Even in the darkest moments, communities can rise up, comfort each other, and show resilience. Michigan's governor, Gretchen Whitmer, said her heart was breaking for the victims. And former President Donald Trump called it a targeted attack on Christians, urging an end to what he described as escalating violence across the country. But here's something else to think about. This wasn't just a random act. It was part of a disturbing pattern. In fact, it was the 3rd mass shooting in the U.S. in less than 24 hours. Just this year alone, there have already been over 300 mass shootings. When you hear numbers like that, it forces you to stop and ask, what's really going on in our society? Why is this becoming so common? And more importantly, what can be done to prevent it? This attack also highlights how complex modern threats have become. It wasn't just a shooting. It involved a vehicle, arson, and potentially explosives. It feels like people who carry out these kinds of acts are mixing tactics in ways that make them even harder to anticipate. So again, the big question is, how do communities prepare for something so unpredictable? And what role do we as ordinary people have in being aware, looking out for each other, and creating safer spaces? At the end of the day, this story is about lives lost, family shattered, and a community that has to rebuild not only a physical church but a sense of safety and peace. And while investigators search for answers, the rest of us are left to reflect on what kind of world we want to live in and how we can make sure tragedies like this don't keep repeating themselves.
So, what do you think?
Do we need stronger security in places of worship, Or should the focus be more on prevention and addressing root causes like extremism, access to weapons, and mental health struggles? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, but please remember to keep it respectful. This is a sensitive topic, and real families are grieving right now. Thank you for spending some time with me today and for engaging in these tough but important conversations. If you found this video helpful or thought-provoking, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and ensures we can keep bringing you important updates and thoughtful discussions on stories that matter. Until next time, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.